Journalist Claire Sanama is a consultant to 48 Hours, and she interviewed Michelle's second husband.
He'd received tips from neighbors that strange men would frequent the house when he was away at work, and in the course of one afternoon, he heard evidence that Michelle was having sex with two different men in their house.
What do you say to the allegation that you have never been faithful to any of your husbands?
I say that's an absolute lie.
One person who says Michelle is absolutely wrong is her youngest son, Andrew O'Brien, who says he had a front row seat to all the infidelity.
She cheated on my dad, got remarried to another man, cheated on him, left him for another man, cheated on him, and got with Greg.
In the early years, as Michelle moved from one man to the next, so too did her children. Lee and Andrew lived through it all.
We were constantly moving every 2 years to different trailer, hotel rooms, apartments, houses. We were just constantly jumping around. She was never really a mom.
That became a very cyclical thing, just moving constantly.
And you guys are being dragged around.
Dragged around, yes.
And what was that like?
Rough. You don't want to get too settled in one place because you don't know when things are going to change.
My name is Andrew O'Brien. I am an Iraqi war veteran, and I attempted suicide after coming home from the war. Now, it had a lot to do with Iraq, but it had a lot to do with my childhood as well. I felt like I didn't have a family, no one would care for me. I remember my mom being a stripper. I remember her bringing guys home all the time. I remember living in hotel rooms or motel rooms. I remember her always telling me to be a man and stop crying when I was 8 years old. And I remember all this stuff. And it was just all those memories coming at one time on how rough my life was and how being raised with her was so horrible, and then doing Iraq. And then, so it all led to my suicide attempt.
Provoked, Michelle enacted a plan that would get her revenge and riches. Prosecutors say after Greg fell asleep, Michelle shot him in the head with his own gun, then arranging the evidence and cleaning up the crime scene to look like the killer was an intruder. But the most devastating witness to take the stand...
It's her own son, her own adult son. It's Andrew O'Brien.
He testifies his mother had concocted yet another whopper to save herself. She asked him to set up Greg's ex-wife, Kathy Williams, as the killer.
Michelle asked me to call some friends and have them frame Kathy. She said, I need you to call a friend, tell them to go to Walmart, buy an extra large sweater, take that sweater out to the woods somewhere, fire a pistol so that the gunpowder gets on it.
She asked him to plant that sweater in Kathy's car where police would find it.
You were brought up to the witness stand to testify about your mother. How did you feel?
God, that was probably the worst feeling I've ever had. When they asked me to point to Michelle Williams, I could not make eye contact.
Fox 7 Care Force today, stopping suicides one vet at a time. We first introduced you to Andrew O'Brien and his story last March. When he was active duty Army, the Iraq vet tried to kill himself, but he survived the drug overdose, and that has given him a second chance, and he is making the most of it. Since we first talked with him, he has gone on the road speaking out about his experience to help other vets and their families head off the continuing threat of military and veteran suicides.
Vet support group.
When we first met Andrew O'Brien, he was about to embark on a crusade, talking about his suicide experience to complete strangers, other vets and their families, and military personnel.
I feel like I'm actually doing something. I have a purpose, and I'm doing something important.
He's been all over the country connecting with audiences. The speeches are making a difference. One certainly did with a vet who said he would routinely put the barrel of a loaded pistol in his mouth Andrew read us part of the email he sent him.
For over a year, I would take my handgun every night, remove the clip, and count the bullets. And for every bullet, I tried to find a reason to live. If I couldn't find one, I would put it back in the clip. There were days I could barely come up with one reason, and I would stare into the barrel of that loaded gun and wonder if God would forgive me for wanting to stop the nightmares and the pain.
The vet went on to tell Andrew that one of his talks helped the vet put that gun down.
When you do these speeches and everything, you see the people's eyes, they seem interested, and people come up and talk to you afterwards, but to actually hear that intense, like, most people don't just come up to you and say that. And so to actually hear the intenseness that my family, or that my speech brought to this guy was just amazing. It was awesome. I loved it. That's the whole point of doing this.